Good afternoon. My name is Mahmoud Al Tayyib, Egyptologist, English and German tour guide. Today I'm at Queen Hatshepsut Temple. It's known deir bahri, the northern monastery, as a local name a long time. During the Coptic era, there were a building of the monastery were located here. 5 kilometers south, there are another monastery as a local name known the Southern Monastery. So Hatshepsut was the northern one, the northern monastery. Today I will not talk about Hatshepsut or her temple even, but I would like to share you very important part located in this area where a lot of tombs, the nobles' tombs, dates back different periods. For example, over there, part of the tomb gate, a gate of tomb, Misbah Kashuti, the vizier of King Basmatic, late period, the 26th dynasty period, and we can see a lot of tombs. Most of these tombs are unknown. Here is Queen Hatshepsut temple, and it's known next to Hatshepsut. On the top over there, ruins of the temple of her nephew, stepson Thutmose III, and below we can see ruins of the temple and the tomb of Bab al-Husan, temple of Mentuhotep Nebhebet Ra, the king of the 11th dynasty, 1850 BC, Middle Kingdom. Hatshepsut, 1500 BC, New Kingdom. And there are a part of Hatshepsut temple. In fact, in this area there are tombs, plus in this you can see screen, you can see the mound over there, and the background of Hatshepsut, the mountain itself, when people cross on foot to Valley of the Kings, and a lot of tombs here. And we can see this surrounding point I will talk about later, that our video will talk about and focus on, but I will come back later. And over there next to Hatshepsut temple, the ruins temple of Bab al-Husan tomb, and next Bab al-Husan there are a tomb had been found over 60 mummies of the soldiers who are shared in the great battle of Mentuhotep Nebhebet Ra, and known the soldiers cachet, the mummies of over than 60 mummies of the soldiers, so soldiers cachet. And you can see this is mountain or hill. Look at this picture, look at this, we can see deir al-bahri. Next of this, what you can see, there are a shaft, a tomb TT 320 in Ha'abi, wife of the high priest, dates back to the 21st dynasty. The tomb, there are a shaft leads to corridors, undecorated walls, and this tradition style of the late period or third intermediate period tombs of the nobles or priests. But in this tomb in 1881 had been found the mummies, or the royal mummies cachet had been found by Abd Rasul family. And this cachet had been found by a way of accident. It happened 10 years before. So I said 1881, so 10 years before, when one member or one person called Abdul Rasul, Ahmad Abdul Rasul or Muhammad. They are three brothers. One of them missed his goat and the time of sunset, so close up the absent of the sun will be darkness fall and cover all this area. He missed his goat, looking for the missing goat, and he looking for it surrounded area over there. If you go continue, you catch their houses. When you go ahead this way, left side, next to the dig house of the German mission, Berlin's mission, their houses of Abdul Rasul families. The old houses were in El Gorna. And when he missed his tomb looking for it in the mountain and desert, and finally he heard a sound or a voice of his goat, he fetched a rope and his brothers and so on, and get down, and they used light, and suddenly they found the mummies covered shrouds by gold amulets, and they kept the secrets, and they get a lot of objects, and they sold to the visitors or rich people when visit Luxor in the end of the 19th century. And later, that is the government discovered that's a lot of objects in Europe and France, and then they follow and watch people in Luxor who can contact, and then they found a man. After that, the policeman arrested him. After few weeks, he confessed where is the location of the treasures and so on, and finally the government or the Antiquities Council get the royal mummies. Over them there were 20 royal mummies today in the Egyptian Museum gallery of the royal mummies. So the location again, where is located TT, which means Thebes tombs number 320 in Habi, which reused or recycled. That was the royal mummies cachet. So the first one next to Bab al-Husan tomb or Mount Hattab Nebhabet Ra, the soldiers cachet, over than 60 mummies of the soldiers, and next to this mountain or hill there are a tomb TT which were used as a cachet when the time of the chaos, a time of corruption, a time of tomb wrapping by the tomb wrappers. Even the grandson of the tomb makers who guided the tomb robbers, but the priests of Ammon played very important role when they collected and reburied all the royal mummies with new shrouds and names, and both in the sacred place, because the mummy very important when that's the soul back to the body again when united with it, and resurrection and so on. So we talked about the royal mummies cachet and the soldier cachet. Let's talk about very important cachet had been discovered 10 years later of the royal mummies cachet. So that was and happened, maybe that's about 1890, so the end of 19th century. And this is a tomb, dates back, this is the same style of the TT 320 in Habi, but it was shaft leads to corridors, and this is known Bab Jasus. And the pronunciation of this Gasus that depends on as local accent, the villagers of Del Gorna, so-called Bab Gasus or Gasus, which means the priest. You know, that is the Coptic church, that's the priest or high priest, describe him as Qis, and the local accent Ges or Gassos, Qassus, Qissis. So the names comes of Qassus. Why that's the terms of this Bab Gassus? Bab in fact means the gate, stone gate, Bab, like Bab al-Husan, a tomb. So Bab means a tomb, they refers to tomb. Gassus or Gassus, which means the priest, or the priests when that's plural. Why that's called the priest? Because the local people, when they hear some news, they discover the new discovery, and someone of Abd Rasul family guided them to this discover 10 years later of the royal mummy cachet. And they describe that this is Bab Gassus. In fact, when the people and local common people here asked about the new discovery, was the same. It is the same one of the royal mummies and kings which had been discovered 10 years before, and people talked about kings and so on. The answer was not. They were not kings. They are priests. And they translated in the Arabic as Gassus. Gassus means the priest in the church, as a Coptic priest. So Gassus means Bab Gassus as the tomb of El Gossasa, the tomb of the priests, and so on. Because that had been discovered more than 256 coffins was a cachet of the priests, which dates back to the third intermediate period, and for sure these mummies had been collected by the priests of Ammon and buried in this secret tomb of the chaos time, third intermediate period, and so on. Again, so Bab Gassus, the second soldiers cachet, over than 60 mummies next to this hill, like we can see here again, TT 320 in Happy tomb, a wife of the priest, dates back to third intermediate period, which reused as a tomb for the royal mummies. 20 royal mummies are in the Egyptian Museum now. Thank you for attention. Mahmoud Al-Tayyib, Egyptologist, archaeologist, tour guide, English and German tour guide. Welcome to Luxor, and your next visiting to Hatshepsut temple, don't forget this way leads to the cafeteria. So the cafeteria, and it is the cachet of this tomb, or cachet of the priests' mummies. Over than 256 coffins had been found. Thank you again, and wish all the best of the next year or the new year 2020. Thank you.